There's an acceptance of the simplicity within Zhineng Qigong.
Okay.
Most other practices that I got involved. Now, to me, if you create a fight with something, the thing that you're having the fight with has power over you.
Yes.
So by fighting cancer, you need cancer to be.
I can
squeeze it a little bit.
I can see. Okay.
Okay, well, a brief life history.
Yes.
I left school and became a professional windsurfer, which was the worst job in the world. It was awful. Hated it. I've never liked being told what to do, and there was too many people telling me what to do. So I gave it up. I went into the city of London and trained in banking. And then through a number of sort of things, I spent 25 years as an IT guy, a computer guy with a specialism in finance, because I'd done all my banking exams and everything.
Okay.
But it was in '97 that I got introduced to Qigong. And in retrospect, it was at that point that my work started to completely change.
Yes.
I started to get better at interacting with people. I started to get better at the work I was doing. I had greater clarity. I had more energy. There was all kinds of things that happened as a result of the Qigong. And I didn't notice it at the time. It's only in retrospect that you see it. And then in 2010, it would have been, I finally had the push to leave the IT industry and became a full-time Qigong person. I started on my journey. My stepfather is a minister in the church, and his final words to me on his deathbed is, go and find the thing that works for you. The thing that works for him is the church. But he knew that that wasn't something that would be particularly attractive to me.
Yeah.
So I started looking at world religions. I started looking at spiritual practice. I went to do some training in something called Reiki. And the guy who trained me in Reiki, he took one look at me and he said, this isn't for you. He said, you won't like this. You're more of a Qigong person. What's Qigong? And he showed me some, and I was immediately sort of addicted. It gave me all the insights I was looking for. When I was doing healing work, and I was trained as a healer, when I was doing healing work and I was getting all these different sensations, I couldn't make sense of them until I came across Qigong. And then I initially trained in a Tibetan Buddhist form. I then qualified in an elemental form. And I then went and studied with 7 different schools, qualified to teach in 4 of those.
Okay.
And it was only in about 2000 I'm not sure if it was 2006, 2007. A friend of mine had met Jian She from China. And she called me and she said, I've got someone who's coming to stay with you. And literally my introduction to Zhineng Qigong was having Jian She come and stay at my house. And I hated it. It was awful. It was but I hated it because it was difficult.
So you're saying the practice was difficult for you?
Yeah, really struggled with that. You know, I thought I'd got 10 years of Qigong practice. This would be easy.
Yeah.
Suddenly we're doing these movements and I'm going, this is hurting. But actually that became interesting to me because why is it hurting? What can I learn? How can I change what's going on? So yeah, I practiced very, very hard for the first year, and then Jian She came and stayed with me again the second year, by which time I'd given up all my other Qigong. And I was only interested in Zhineng Qigong because it was the thing that it really set me on my path.
Yeah.
All the other teachers that I'd worked with, and you know, I'd learned a massive amount from them, but nobody had really inspired me to really make those types of deep-seated changes that I've found within Zhineng Qigong.
Now, what would you say is it that sets Zhineng Qigong apart from other healing practices? What would you say is it that is happening to you physically and mentally, which you can't necessarily achieve or find through other healing practices?
I can only speak personally, and personally I find that there's an acceptance of the simplicity within Zhineng Qigong.
Okay.
Most other practices that I got involved with, the more you went into them, the more complex they got, the more hierarchical they got, the more you were trying to get to the next level or the next. And when I met Zhineng Qigong, suddenly I recognized there was a simplicity in it.
Yeah.
The fact that something as simple as La Qi can do everything you ever need it to do,
Yeah.
I find that is the most transformative thing. I think every single case that you, or every single person you work with is different. And so different people will hold on to things differently. But I think one of the things that's really interesting here is self-image. So if somebody comes to work with me and they introduce themselves and their diagnosis, so it could be a physical diagnosis.
Yeah.
It's become part of them. It's become part of the way that they interact with the world. It's part of their identity. And the thing that becomes difficult then is that if you ask the person if they want to overcome the diagnosis, they'll probably pay lip service to it and say, well, yes, of course I do. But what you're really asking them is, do you want to be somebody completely different? Now, I found this, and I don't know whether you can see on camera, but I've got a strange shaped lip, bottom lip. I'll squeeze it a little bit.
I can see. Okay.
When I was at school, I was asked whether or not I wanted it operated on so that it was turned into a normal looking lip.
Okay.
And at that point, I can remember very clearly saying, no, I don't. This is me. This is part of me. People know me, but with this, it's part of my identity. So this has stayed with me as part of who I am. People recognize me, and I'm guessing it's because of that. Most people are too polite to say anything, which is sort of an advantage as well. It's quite funny on occasions.
Yeah.
But we associate certain things, we find benefits in certain things. So if someone has a physical ailment, quite often they'll find a benefit in it in the way they interact with people, and it means that they're less likely to want to get rid of it. So that's one thing to consider. And simply removing it questions who they are at a very deep level.
Yeah.
So I say that's one aspect. There's probably about 3 or 4 significant aspects here. But I think the other thing that we look at is the way that qi flows through the body. This idea of we have set patterns of movement, we have set patterns of responding. Yeah. And these will create patterns within the body. The other thing that's also interesting in this is the intention that people have. So if you come into a session and if you come in with a headache and you go, I know, I'm going to do some practice and I'm going to get rid of my headache. Your natural response when you leave the space is to look for the headache to see whether it's gone.
Yes, I see.
And if you go and look for it, more often than not, you go and find what you're looking for. So quite a lot of this sort of more physical ailments, again, there's a mindset piece here. If you work with somebody and you don't bring their attention to it, and you work in a far softer way around it, then they don't go looking to see whether it's still there at the end of the session.
Yeah.
Whereas if you create it more as a fight, in the UK we've got this horrible thing that's been going on about the fight against cancer. Now, to me, if you create a fight with something, the thing that you're having the fight with has power over you.
Yes.
So by fighting cancer, you need cancer to be there so that you can constantly be pushing against it.
Yes.
Which gives it power. And if your practice is about, I need to fight this thing that's here, it becomes part of your practice. Yeah. If one day you turn up and it's not there, you're going to be going, I don't know what to do with my practice. I need to get it back so I can carry on having a go at it.
Yeah. It's as if the more you resist, the more it controls you.
Yeah, it's a relationship.
Yeah.
And if you're in that type of relationship with something, it's yin and yang. The two are working with each other. What you need to do is you need to break the relationship in order to get rid of the thing. And then amazing things happen.